I'm very much used to smaller boxes arriving at my desk for feature videos, so you know it's going to be a fun time when something this big arrives. Plus, there's also this smaller box for an additional accessory. This is the Llano V10 RGB laptop cooling pad, and for someone who daily drives huge, hot laptops, it looks to be a must-have accessory. Let's get it unboxed and tested. But before we continue with the video, let's keep the lights on here in the studio. This video is brought to you by Sneak Attack Design Lab. They're a clothing company that specializes in technical fashion, more commonly known as techwear, and you can see me in their clothes in most of my videos. I've been supporting their brand ever since I met them back in 2019, and now they're returning the favor. Head on over to this link, you can find it in the description as well, to get 10% off your order from their site. Check their clothes out. You're bound to see something badass over there that'll look great on you. Thank you very much to Sneak Attack for this exclusive promo for my viewers. Now, back to the video. So the Llano V10 RGB laptop cooling pad arrives in a huge box with minimal print on it. Based on its size, you know it's not going to be one of those usual run-of-the-mill basic laptop cooling pads. It says here on the front that this is the Pro model. So I assume that the Max and Ultra are even more wilder versions of this product. Upon opening up the box, we can see the laptop cooler in a plastic bag, capped at the sides with some closed-cell foam to protect it from bumps during shipping. Let's take it up. Accessories first. We have a power cable in one bag, and in another bag we find the user manual, USB-A to USB-C cable for connecting to the laptop, and a circle of cut foam. This is an extra filter for the intake. Alright, let's head on over to the cooler. So as we can see, as we remove the foam in the plastic bag, the Llano V10 RGB laptop cooling pad is a huge, gamery take on the laptop cooling pad form factor. Instead of being slim and sleek, it boasts a huge footprint, and it's very obviously made for much greater thermal cooling performance. Before we head on over to the product tour, let's unbox this additional radiator seal ring that Llano sent over. And as we can see later, this is just an additional set of foam seals that fit on top of the cooler to better direct airflow to the laptop vents. Product tour time. Here at the top, we can immediately see the thick foam that's supposed to be where the laptop rests on while using the cooling pad. It has a lot of cutouts and is pieced together like a puzzle. This outside ring is for larger laptops, and if you have a laptop that's 14 inches and below, you have to pop out these strips and position them at the sides here, so they can still catch your laptop. Underneath that removable foam, we see the vented top of the Llano V10. There is a prominent sticker here. For the user's safety, do not put any fingers or foreign objects inside the safety cover. Because as we can kind of peek at here, the 120mm radial fan that can spin up to 3,500 RPM sits just right below that cover. Sticking a finger or anything in there will either damage the fan or the foreign object. Be careful. Here at the front, we can see two pop-up support bars that will prevent laptops from sliding off the cooler. Hopefully they're tall enough for the laptops I'm planning to put on this for our test later. Right at the middle, we can see the control panel. We have a mode switch and a color switch that will control the RGB lighting, which we will see later. Then we have the on and off key, a little screen to show some data, and the plus and minus buttons for wind speed. Alright. At the sides, we can see some parts that will probably light up with RGB once this is turned on, and at the back, we can see more of those panels. We can also see here the connectivity options for its USB hub. Starting from the left, we can see a USB-C port, two USB-A ports, a USB-C in port, so this is where you should connect the USB-A to USB-C cable running from your laptop, and we have the DC in. Do note that this hub seems to be only running USB 2.0, so if I were you, I'd stick to only plugging peripherals and low-power devices here, since it won't give you the super fast transfer speeds of USB 3.0 and above. Flipping the cooler over, we can see the large intake for the fan, with the integrated dust filter. This is great, as anything that has a lot of airflow needs a filter, as to not be clogged up with dirt and debris over time. Lastly, we can see that the cooler has a pair of two-stage flip-up feet, not only to tilt the laptop at a much more comfortable angle for use, but also to give some space for that intake. That's pretty smart. Alright, that's the product tour. Let's get it plugged in and set up. Once we get it plugged in, we only have to hold the power button for it to turn on. We can immediately notice that the RGB lighting in the screen light up. RGB lighting first. To change modes, we just need to press the mode switch button. It has multiple modes. We're currently on scrolling mode, then we have static, breathing, and RGB fade. The color can be changed by pressing the color switch mode while on the static and breathing modes. And the colors available are blue, purple, green, orange, and red. Alright. Heading on over to wind speed control, we're currently set to 300 RPM. It's quiet. As we can see here in my very scientific method of putting a paper towel over the vent, it only pushes enough air to slightly displace it. When pressing the plus or minus keys, it adjusts the fan speed by 100 RPM. And through here, we can pump it up all the way to a noisy, powerful 3,500 RPM. Doing the scientific towel test again, we can see that it's basically impossible to keep the towel on top of the fence because of the strength of the air being pushed through. It's pretty impressive. Alright, now that we've toured it and seen its features, let's get to testing the Llano V10 RGB laptop cooling pad. For this testing, I've lined up 3 laptops ranging from small and generally thermally manageable to a medium size but a bit hotter, and quite literally one of the hottest laptops to ever exist. They are the Asus ZenBook 14X OLED Space Edition, the ROG Zephyrus G16 2024 model, and the ROG Zephyrus Duo 16 2023 model. I will be running Firmware 2 at 2560x1440 resolution on them for 5 minutes without the laptop cooler. Then we'll test them at 3 speeds, 300 RPM, 1800 RPM, and 3500 RPM, each for 5 minutes, just to see what kind of cooling performance improvements we can see. Do note that in this test, we will only be measuring GPU temperature. And at the end, I'll also give you audio samples of how loud the Llano V10 RGB is at those fan speeds. Let's go. Starting with the Asus ZenBook 14X OLED Space Edition, this is running an Intel Core i5-12500H with integrated Iris Xe graphics. Running firmware for 5 minutes tops out the GPU temp at 82 degrees Celsius. Turning on the Llano V10 at 300 RPM drops the temperature to 79 degrees Celsius. At 1800 RPM, it drops it further to 72 degrees Celsius, and at the max 3500 RPM, it achieves a super low 65 degrees Celsius stable. That's pretty impressive, but this is just our lightweight laptop. Let's move up a few weight classes. This is the venerable ROG Zephyrus G16 2024, a powerhouse laptop running the new Intel Core Ultra 9 185H and an NVIDIA RTX 4080 laptop 12GB GPU. Just by itself, temps soared to 82 degrees Celsius almost immediately. Then with the Llano V10 at 300 RPM, we see a small drop to 81 degrees Celsius. Yeah, that RTX 4080 runs really hot. At 1800 RPM, we're down to a still prickly hot 77 degrees Celsius, and at a full send 3500 RPM, we're down to a much more manageable 73 degrees Celsius. I suspect that this might be a bit hotter in real-world use cases since this test doesn't account for CPU heat. But still, this is solid performance from the Llano V12. Finally, we have the monstrous ROG Zephyrus Duo 16 2023. This bad boy is my daily driver, and it runs extremely hot. Packing the notoriously toasty AMD Ryzen 9 6900HX and the NVIDIA RTX 3080 Ti, it's a dual-screen monster that decimates its own battery in less than 30 minutes and tends to melt the tables that it perches on when ran at max speed. Running by itself, this Zephyrus Duo races straight to a blistering 90 degrees Celsius and hilariously, immediately thermal throttles itself. Turning on the Llano V10 at 300 RPM literally does nothing to alleviate the Zephyrus Duo's suffering, with temps constantly bouncing between 90 and 87 degrees Celsius because of thermal throttling. Bumping it up to 1800 RPM stabilizes the monster at around 88 degrees Celsius, minimizing the amount of thermal throttling and making it a bit more comfortable. Going all out at 3500 RPM completely eliminates all instances of thermal throttling and settles the temperature to 86 degrees Celsius. Still high, but since this is the ROG Zephyrus Duo 16 and it was fully able to stop it from thermal throttling, that's a win in my book. I definitely have to start using this when I'm playing my games. And lastly, here's how it sounds. Like our tests, I'll record it at 300 RPM, 1800 RPM, and 3500 RPM. And yeah, what did you expect? 300 RPM is whisper quiet, 1800 RPM is about as loud as your regular laptop fans running at full speed, and 3500 RPM is like a mini vacuum cleaner. It is noisy, yes, but at the cooling performance it affords, I think that's a fair trade-off. Just invest in a pair of noise-canceling headphones and you're good. So yeah, what do we think about the Llano V10 RGB laptop cooling pad? I personally think it's great, especially if you've got a laptop that moonlights as a space heater. In my case, with the ROG Zephyrus Duo 16, this feels like a must-have. I've been playing a lot of Fallout 76 lately, and I'm definitely going to start using this while I game. At $109 international or 3,899 pesos if you get it from Shopee Philippines, you're looking at a game-ready cooling pad that actually contributes well to the thermals of your laptop. Plus, you have full control of its noise and performance levels. If you do want to get one for yourself, I've included links in the description. So that's the Llano V10 RGB laptop cooling pad. Do you have any questions about it? Leave them down in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. While you're there, give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. It helps out a lot. That's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.